Hey, good morning. I'm David Lamont, process leader in logistics at Rolls-Royce. Today I'm going to be presenting my poster about Kanban layout and about our ergonomic study and efficiency studies. So firstly, I'd like to talk about the future developments. So the whole of our logistics processes, we can introduce future proofing, so roller shutter racking and automated scanning. So what the automated scanning will do is the material will come in through the door, and then it will limit the amount of labour intensity in the process. So going back, our current process when the Kanban material comes in is we receive the material gets unloaded, goes into a Kanban sorting area. Kanban is then sorted into relevant departments. What we tend to have at the moment is we have all the departments at Rolls-Royce, they all order Kanban at the same time, which means then our warehouse department sending the material all mixed. So from an ergonomics and an efficiency productivity point of view, it needs a lot of sorting at that particular point before we put any material away. So the sorting is done here. What we have done is that we've assessed the ergonomic criteria of the sorting, so all the material arrives on pallets. What we have got in Rolls-Royce is we've got Abatec ergonomic studies. So basically it breaks it all down into a traffic load system where if it's too much bending, lifting, carrying too far and in too much distance, then it flags it up as red, and this is based on an individual associate needs. So what that does, it gives us our layout plan. So what we have done along with our planners is that we've grouped all of the early stations. So as you can see on the poster, these stations here are for the early part of the production line, and this yellow line here is a break all the way down the middle of the supermarket. What that allows us to do when we're putting the Kanban away is that we can go from racks number 1 to 6 and then number 6 to 12. That allows us to, rather than walking from here all the way down every time when we're putting Kanban material away, we can go straight down the middle, and if a particular picker is picking at this end of the aisle, he won't get in the way of this person trying to put the Kanban away here. So when the Kanban sorting is done, it's sorted into aisles from 1 to 6 all the way down to row P. And then what that does is that the Kanban person putting the material away can put it down here when the pickers are picking in this area. When the pickers need to come down into this area, the Kanban put away people can be putting the Kanban away in this area here.
Can you just explain what the Kanban is? Is physically what is it? How would you describe it?
So Kanban is inventory control material. So this is for a combination of car parts. What we do have at Rolls-Royce is we have a system where we have car set and just-in-time material. All these Kanban parts that are stored in this supermarket are parts like chromes, ESDs and electrical parts. These are classed as delicate parts and they get easily damaged. So the Kanban material is our inventory and our safety stock. So that the reason why we keep this Kanban here is because if a particular car set part is damaged, then it takes a minimum of an hour to get it across to off-site warehouse, which then stops productivity on the production line. So as I was saying about the future, currently we have the first stages of the production in the supermarket here. This is done on an automated system. So what happens, the first half of the line is automatically printed off from when the car's launched. So the picking paperwork comes out on the printers that are located here. Once the paperwork comes out, the picker can then start picking his parts ready for the delivery of the production. Once the picker's completed his pick, he then scans the car kit onto a rack here. What that does then, it allows our automated system to show that that delivery unit is ready to be delivered. It's based on a timed system, so we can then see, we can record whether that picker is early or late for his delivery. So early is not too bad, but obviously lateness is, then it becomes a problem for productivity delivering to the production line.
How does the picker know that it's scanned correctly?
Sorry.
How does the picker know that it's scanned, that he has actually done a scan?
So we have a screen that's based on the edge of this supermarket. In front of this supermarket, we have the car set train come down here. I haven't put it on the plan. What that then does, the screen is yellow, and then once the box has been scanned and the delivery unit is complete, it then goes green. And then the next one's along, the next one's along, the delivery units come up, and then they know then the car number's there, and the next station's ready to be picked.
Okay. So the pickers don't spend a lot of time looking at visual display units or anything like that. They just glance up. There's no special consideration had to be taken in your situation here of you working with visual display units.
Yes. The only time that there's special consideration and the ergonomic reviews, which this shows here, is this system is currently being developed. So the early stages have been implemented. The later part of the line is yet to be implemented, and the reason for that is because up here is our production line and the delivery unit. Before, delivery unit is delivered on the train by the picker by walking. And what we did some analysis on the time travelling backwards and forwards from the picker. And the picker was only taking 2 minutes to do the pick. It was taking 6 minutes round trip to collect the trolley.
All right.
So what we said was, well, actually, we'll start with that bit first. So we did some work-based studies and job selection analysis, and we said, let's start with those, because we said this section of the line was more or less in line with the production line, and therefore we could say, okay, these pickers we can still allow to walk to the line, whereas these pickers we want them to pick, put their picks here and be delivered on the delivery train. The problem we have now is that this end of the supermarket and our line stopper Texas for productivity come from this area that's not automated. Because this part, we still have, as you can see, it's yellow, which the pickers that pick at this end have to go to the computer, have to manually print out their picking sheets, type in a car number, and it gives them the picking sheets to pick the parts.
And the future system, the hypothetical system, would be removing it.
The future system is that we would like all of the way I see it, is that we would like all of the picks to go from the supermarket on the shuttle racking, and then scan the parts as they come down the shuttle racking into the car set, and then the car set is delivered in one delivery unit to the production line. So therefore, it limits the amount of walking to and from the production line, and the pickers stay within them zones in there. The layout, in terms of the rows at the moment, is not as efficient as it could be, and for me, I would like to see some U-shaped cells placed in there.
Yeah.
Then that way you could have some cells there. The way this is done at the moment is because, one, it keeps the pickers in a nice, safe environment, away from the forklift truck movement and away from the delivery train movement, and also it allows them to flow and pick the parts ergonomically, so they're using both hands. They push the trolley along to the location, they check the parts, which we've currently labelled each shelf so that you've got a big colour coded rack, and you've got like the white writing on the racking as well, so therefore it makes it a lot easier for the picker to go along, and even the Kanban delivery guys to put the parts away.
And what input have the pickers had into this new proposed layout? How have they been involved?
So what we did is we did a Gemba walk with the pickers. We timed their processes, and then we did some work balancing because we went from 44-minute tact, doing 20 cars a day, to doing a 26 car day into a 34-minute tact time. So that's 10 minutes knocked off their current process. So what we had to do is we had to do some work analysis, work study, and we went and done some job sampling. So basically, each picker was timed. We looked at the lean and the waste within their processes, and the amount of walking. Could we do some tweaks with moving some parts from here to here? We set the supermarket up so that it's efficient for the Kanban put away, not necessarily efficient for the pickers to pick the parts. So when we watched the pickers and then we said to them, look, what do you think, how can we improve your process? That's when they said, well actually I'm bending down here quite a lot to get this part for every car. We moved it up to a couple of shelves so that it's nice and easy to pick this part. And in particular parts where they only pick for a Chinese model, which is few and far between, then we put it on the lower shelf where it's not very often used.
Very good. Okay.
In terms of the automated scanning, so currently where we've got the Kanban sorting area here, once the Kanban is sorted, all of the scanner has to be manually scanned, and then all the boxes have to be manually moved. With the future state, the boxes would go in a U shape here, and you'd have a feed-in system where you could feed them from the back. So rather than the manual scanning, we'd have automated scanning here. This is based on an Amazon benchmarking. So Amazon's, when they have robots that pick their parts from the shelves, and then it comes down and be put into a bin and onto a conveyor belt. Once it's onto a conveyor belt, then it's automated, goes to a point and it's automatically scanned, automatically ready for the next point in the process. So this is what I'd like to do here. As soon as it comes in through the door, parts are already scanned, rather than take away some of the manual labour. And this bit here just shows we have to look at job rotation according to the Avatec analysis. And the job rotation means that the amount of bending, walking, lifting, stooping that we do, even twisting, we have to be very careful from a manual handling point of view that we don't overexert our associates.
What would be the long-term effect of overexerting your associates?
Again, you could be looking at musculoskeletal injuries, you could be looking at fatigue, potentially. Just not a nice environment to be working in, really. I mean, the productivity side of it will go down because you'll overwork the associates. So come the end of the day, you might not get as much productivity out of them as you would do. So therefore, the job rotation, when the Kanban guys are putting the parts away here, we rotate these guys with the picking associates, so they get a nice movement in terms of body, because when you're pushing the trolley along picking parts, it's only generally one part at a time, whereas when you're putting Kanban away onto the shelving, it's very, very physical on your body. So therefore, when we assess our associates and we give them job selection, we work with them and we tell them, look, please let us know, one, if you've got any efficiencies and any improvements that you feel you can make. Is it in the right place at the right time when you need it? If it isn't, then where would you like it? So it's really a group conversation. When we're having these Gemba walks, it's important that I take the information from our process supporters, but also take the information from our associates to ensure that we're supporting them as best we possibly can.
And when you gather all of that information from the associates and from doing your work studies and productivity measurements and that, what do you do with that data? What sort of form do you put it in to analyse it?
So we use value stream mapping, we use Gemba standards, we use talk circles. So on our particular Gemba standards, what we have is our work instructions and our methods, and we have basically safety hints and tips. Then generally just care points as well. So if the care points are crucial, so for example, I had a particular picker that picked apart using one hand, and it was particularly heavy, dropped the part on the floor, it slipped out of his hand. So again, we sort of said, look, you know, on this particular instance, in these areas here, ensure it's a two-hand lift. So the spaghetti diagrams is another key. So value stream mapping, spaghetti diagrams, and chalk circles are the main three that we use at Rolls-Royce to record our data.
And do you like record interviews with the associates or record observations of what is taking place? Or are they recorded by conversation and then notes are taken, or they recorded by analysis and data is taken and then certain charts or techniques are used?
When we do a process confirmation, that particular associate's name is logged on the process confirmation sheet. Then it's basically it's confirmation of what that associate is doing, how long he's taking, is he working to standard, etc., etc. So all the criteria is down, it's all recorded, and then once we've done that, we don't tend to discuss it as we're observing, but then once we are finished, then we go and speak to the associate and say, this is what we've seen. Is this a sort of regular thing that you do all the time? And then we can assess against the work instruction, against the standard.
And do you have any final conclusions then from what you would be doing next?
Just on this, it's very much our automated system has given us some excellent results, and we want to continue running reports from the automated system based on the first part of the line and the success we've had here. Down here is still very hit and miss. Our associates can tend to say, no, the parts were there on time, I wasn't late, etc., etc. Production on stock because they didn't have the correct parts that they needed. Whereas on the automated system, we can't manipulate that. That delivery unit has to be ready at that time, and then we can run our reports and our KPIs based on that. Whereas in a labour manually driven process here, it's very difficult to then run our reports on something that's inconclusive. You have to take your associate's word for it, whereas here, it's clear, our KPIs are there.
Okay. Right. Very good. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.